All right, so my name again is Ethan Holmes. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. I'm 24 years old, and I am the founder and CEO of Holmes Mouthwater and Applesauce. It's a 100% all-natural applesauce product that I actually started when I was 15 years old. And so today's presentation is actually called Manifestations of an Entrepreneur. And I'll be talking to you guys about certain moments in my life where I had to, manifest my dreams, overcome challenges, and then, overall find success. So thank you guys for the opportunity. Now, Holmes Made Foods LLC, that's actually the legal name of my entity, and we're the manufacturer of Holmes Mouthwater and Applesauce. As I stated, our product is all natural. It's just apples, pears, and apple cider. We actually take apples and the pears, blend them together, and cook it in apple cider, something that's usually not done. And our product's available in over 200 locations. We're in all the Heinens. We're in Target. We'll be rolling out 12 Target stores, Whole Foods, Giant Eagle, Marks, and many more. So it's something that we're very proud of. And then, I started the company at 15 years old. So, it's been about 10 years, going on 10 years of just working hard. Now, our products, we actually have two flavors. We have original, and it's just apples, pears, and apple cider. And then we have a cinnamon. As you see, we have, bright, colorful branding, which, you'll learn all about today. And then we also have no added sugar. We're certified as a minority business with the state. And we also have gluten-free certifications. So as I look around, I see a burning question, I'm sure, in all your minds: why applesauce? Like, does this family have a farm? What led me to making applesauce? And the answer is pretty clear, actually. I loved entrepreneurship. I loved raking leaves, making and selling lemonade. And so I was like, you know what? I want to make a legitimate business. And so at first, I actually came up with a chocolate bar idea, and I called it Nom Nom Bars, kind of like Cookie Monster, Nom Nom, And I had this whole brand, and, I made a label on Microsoft Office, went on Amazon, got candy bar molds. Then I went to my high school, Shaker High School, went to the cafeteria with a tie on, and was like, hey, $5 Nom Nom Bars. And I thought I was going to be this millionaire by the end of that school day, and I didn't sell any bars. Most people are like, hey, man, sorry, I'm not giving you my last $5, and it looks like you made it in your mom's kitchen. No way. And so I call that my first real failure. And instead of just saying, you know what, maybe entrepreneurship's not for me, I decided to innovate and do something a little bit different. And so I decided, healthy products was something that was huge. There was a trend. And so I went to my grandfather, and I was like, you know what, Grandpa, you're retired. You live with us. You can make almost anything. Show me how to make applesauce. And so he took me in the kitchen, showed me how to peel apples, cook the product down, blend it. But then by the end of it, it was actually tart taste. It had gritty, pieces in it. It wasn't the best product. It was homemade, but it wasn't the best. And so I was like, you know what? Let me spend a year in the kitchen innovating this. I remember I actually had to ask my parents for Christmas for apples. I had to say, hey, guys, can you give me some apples for Christmas? Because I didn't have a job, and they were tired of buying me fruit. And then I remember I went back to school, and everybody's like, what'd you get for Christmas, Ethan? I'm like, oh, apples. Oh, you got an iPod? Oh, that's pretty cool. No, not quite. But that was, really how committed I was. Eventually, we created this recipe, and this photo that you see on the screen is from 2008 in my mom's kitchen, just a crock pot as well as a peeler. So very, very humble beginnings. Now, eventually, I had this finished product. I actually had it in a 16-ounce mason jar, but I had no brand. So every time I went around trying to tell people about it, they'd be like, what's this Holmes mouth-watering? What's so mouth-watering about it? And so I was like, you know what? I got to create a label. So I went on Google, searched label designers, and I found 5 companies. And I remember I reached out to them. I was a young 16-year-old, and I sent them an email kind of like, hey, my name's Ethan. I'm from Cleveland. I make applesauce. How much for a label? Simple and sweet. And out of the 5 I reached out to, none of them reached out back except one. And his name was Ron Hansen. He was actually from Washington. And he says to me, Ethan, I like you. You got grit. I'll actually make all your branding for free. I'll invest into you. And so that was huge, That was the first person who really believed in me, with this applesauce endeavor. And so this sketch you guys see on the screen is the first sketches from 2009 when we, really were getting started. We actually have two mascots. We have Toucan, which is on our original flavored, and his name is Mac. And then we have a cardinal, and her name is Tasha. And if you say it together, Mac and Tasha, it's kind of like Macintosh apples. You guys get that? Okay. Went over some people's heads, but we actually did an Instagram contest early on, and we named the bird. So, manifesting a brand, creating a brand, it was huge. Now, manifesting growth. This was a point in my life where, I got out of high school in 2012, barely got out of high school, terrible GPA, got in one college, Hiram College, right in Hiram, Ohio, majored in business, minor in entrepreneurship. And then I actually put the applesauce to the side for a little bit. I was like, you know what, I'll be a student. I'll focus on that. Around my sophomore year, I decided, you know what, I'm making sandwiches in the deli for 8 hours and then going to class. I got to do something different. So I decided to get the applesauce endeavor back. Went to downtown Cleveland and found a kitchen called the Cleveland Culinary Launch Kitchen. And some of those photos at the top, you'll see myself pouring cider into a batch. That's how we started early on. And what I did was I would actually rent that facility out for $20 an hour and produce the product. Now, when I first started, I was only making about 100, 200 jars a month, only small mom and pop stores. So I said, you know what, if I'm gonna do this, let's do it big. That's why I'm in this. So I went online, found the corporate number for Heinen's, and I actually called them. And I'm like, hey, my name's Ethan. Can you get me in touch with the applesauce buyer? Got his voicemail after she got me transferred. I was like, you know what? I'll call him again. Called him the next day, got his voicemail. And this went on for about 4 or 5 weeks. Eventually, I called him at some random hour, and he's like, hey, Ethan, drop off a couple jars, and I'll get back to you. I'm like, you know what? This is my moment. This is going to work out. Dropped it off. 6 months go by. Another 2 months go by, and by this point, I'm almost like, you know what, they'll probably never get back to me. And I remember I was walking to the cafeteria to go make these sandwiches like I did, and I hated it. And my phone started ringing, and I'm like, oh, what's this number? 216-475-2300. I know this number by heart because, it's Heinen's. I called him so many times. And I actually picked up, and the buyer says, hey, Ethan, got around to trying your applesauce. We loved it. My kids loved it. I actually want 2,500 jars in the next 2 weeks. Can you do that for me? And I was just like, yeah, sure, yeah, I can do that. I'll have them ready. And I hung up the phone, and I just thought about it like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Let me go back to my dorm. And I just, at that point, I called my friends, my family. I got my grandfather in the kitchen. I had, my grandmother, my parents. And we peeled, and we did it for an entire 2 weeks, but we got it done. Thank you, guys. Thank you. And so that was our first chain supermarket, 30 locations, Ohio and Illinois. And so that was a huge moment. But from that point on, my parents were like, hey, we can't be in the kitchen with you every weekend. This is a lot. I got arthritis. So decided, how was I going to, keep this product going? How was I going to keep this growth moving? So we created a program called the Young Entrepreneur Initiative. And what that allowed us to do was we partnered with Youth Opportunities Unlimited right in Cleveland, Ohio, and E-City. And they gave us high school students. It started off about 20 students. They came into our kitchen. They would actually help us peel. They would help us bottle. And then once they reached a certain amount of hours, they would get a $1,000 stipend. So that was huge for a lot of these kids in the inner city of Cleveland. We were able to make about 25,000 jars just from 2015 to 2016. So that was huge. And now we're currently, we're out of the kitchen. We now manufacture in Southern Ohio. We work out of a facility. So the kids are now going into grocery stores for us. So they're selling the product at Whole Foods, Giant Eagle, talking to customers. I had one kid, he could barely speak to somebody without looking away or whatever. And now he's, got great confidence, public speaking skills. So that's something we're very proud of. So now another great moment as I switch over a little bit is this moment called manifesting the unlikely. And I remember one day, it was about 2015, my brother calls me. And he says, hey, Ethan, you're on a roll with your business. You should try to get a Cavs player. And I was like, you know what, we're way too small to do an endorsement, $40,000, $50,000 in sales. We laughed about it, hung up the phone. And then it kind of bothered me, I didn't give up on Heinen's that easy. Why would I give up on going after a Cavs player, for example? So, he had mentioned Dellavedova, Delhi. Everybody loves Delhi. He was a rookie, came from Australia, small liberal arts school, but worked his way to the NBA. And so I actually sent him an email on his website to his contact form. My name's Ethan. I make applesauce. Love to work with you. Didn't think he'd email me back. He actually emailed me back within an hour. And he's just like, hey, I'm actually from Australia. I've never had applesauce. We don't usually eat applesauce, in Australia. But I love this idea. I watch Shark Tank every week when I'm on the road. Can I do an event with you in Cleveland? So he came to Shaker Heights. 250 fans came out. And so that photo right there is, fans. We had food trucks. And so that was a great opportunity. But then it kind of led to something even bigger. I gave him 20 jars, and he actually gave a couple to his teammates, LeBron, and other players. And so I was like, wow, that one moment where it seemed unlikely led to something even bigger. So very proud moment. Now, manifesting investments. Marshall mentioned a little bit, we recently won a competition. It's called Cleveland Chain Reaction. This competition was 5 investors in Cleveland choosing 5 businesses to invest in. And then those businesses would then move into Slavic Village. And so we were actually one of those 5 businesses chosen. Our investor is actually the Cleveland Foundation, which was huge. They're one of the biggest foundations in the country. And they said, I actually remember vividly around this time when this whole competition started, we had bad cash flow. We weren't doing very well. Sales were low. We're still small to this day, but they're even worse. And I was like, you know what? I need some cash. I need to be able to fund these projects I'm trying to do next. What am I going to do? And someone said, hey, you should do this competition, Cleveland Chain Reaction. And so I remember I prepped for like 2 weeks, just in the mirror, practicing any way I could. Eventually, I went downtown, pitched to them, and by the end of it, I remember walking out like, man, I don't think I did that great. I could have did better. And this woman walks out, and she was like one of the people during the Q&A that was like giving me a hard time. I don't know if you've ever seen those people just like, hey, what's your background, and where do the apples come from? And so, I was like, hi, how you doing? She actually gave me her card, and she says, I'm the CFO of the Cleveland Foundation. I'm very impressed. Right now, we're interested in potentially investing. Let's sit down next week. And so I remember actually going into that meeting. The CEO's there. He's making $2-3 million a year. You got the CFO, CMO, and I'm like, I'm this young black male, and they're looking at me like, hey, so we're impressed with you. Tell us about your business. And I had to tell them about tax returns. It was a moment that I've never been through, but it definitely helped me grow up. It helped me learn a lot more about my business, helped me with negotiation, importance of contracts. So that was a great moment for us. So we're looking to actually move into the facility in Slavic Village in mid-2018. We'll actually be employing about 10 people for distribution, production. We'll also build a classroom in there so we can bring students out, work with them a lot more hands-on. So something we're very proud of. So thank you, guys. Thank you. Yeah, and it's been a long time coming. There's a lot of work. I wasn't uncomfortable telling the amount. We actually just haven't decided on the amount. It's really that early. But the total project, they're investing about $1.3 million into Slavic Village. Not just us, but these other 5 businesses. So it's going to be huge for that revitalization. Now, part of our investment has allowed us to actually roll out 3 new, our new packaging. It's our current jar, but it's actually a shrink sleeve. And it makes our jars look a lot more premium. They actually have a window. And these are actually done by Ron Hansen, the same designer who did our initial designs. I was actually able to come back to him 4 or 5 years later and spend, some large amount of money just for design. And he loved that because that was a great moment, But it was also created by Auden & Company, which is a Cleveland-based marketing firm. It was actually ran by my girlfriend of 5 years. Before I even had, a single store, she was there for me like, hey, Ethan, you should get off your butt, stop smoking weed, and actually start making applesauce. And that's what I did when I was in college, and I wound up doing it. So I want to thank her right there for, And if you guys have any marketing needs, you guys can actually check out our company, Auden & Company. They're really great. And so they helped with the brand. We actually have our original. We've changed our cinnamon to apple pie cinnamon. And a little thing about our applesauce, you actually get chunks of apples and pears in it. We're kind of like the Haagen-Dazs of applesauce. And then we have a strawberry peach flavor. So that's actually real strawberries, peaches. It's very fresh. And it'll actually be at Lucky's Market and Whole Foods in Columbus within the next, month and a half. So you guys want to check it out. Now we'll also, sorry. Guys, I just clicked a bunch. Also rolling out 4-ounce cups, so the portable options. We're going to be able to reach daycares, food service, hospitals, private schools, and so that's one of our goals, to be able to expand our revenue streams. This is our 4-pack design, our cup design. These are all actually rough design mock-ups, but we'll actually be rolling them out again in the next month and a half. So, I don't know what is going on, guys. I'm sorry about that. Skip through a bunch. All right, and this is actually our new website. So with this auditing company, my girlfriend again, she actually did the design, the whole planning behind this. And what we've done is we worked with Kelsey Kretcher, which is a Cleveland Institute of Art student. We work with a lot of graphic designers, a lot of videographers. We love local. That's what we put our funds into. She actually created like a different perspective of our brand. You see, we got the same birds from our label, but now they're in a children's illustration format. We've created a Holmes town. We have our core values actually, as Apple cores. And so those are some of the things we're going to be doing with our new website, and we're very proud to be switching over. And this is actually, I've had this since I was 16, so we're going to be getting rid of this, and but it's a proud memorabilia. So thank you guys again for the opportunity. If you guys have any questions, thank you. So. Definitely, right there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's a great question. I actually looked in my fridge. I remember I was like 15, and I opened it up like, okay, this chocolate bar thing is not working. I'm not going to be the next Willy Wonka of Cleveland. And I remember it hit me like that, and I looked and I saw barbecue sauce. Okay, that market's saturated. I didn't know what that word meant at that time, but I knew that wasn't my thing. But then I saw Mott's applesauce, and I was like, you know what? Applesauce is usually baby food consistency, ascorbic acid, sugar, anything you can think of as far as artificial ingredients. And so I said, why not do something different with that? I don't know if I realized that there was so much market potential, but that's how I led to choosing applesauce. So, great question. Does anybody? Yep, right there. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yep, right there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Definitely. And one thing, I never finished college. Actually, my third year, the business started getting a lot busier. I do plan on finishing, but that's just one thing what I did study. But some of our financial goals, we look at everything kind of quarterly. So we're trying to expand more in Target. We're going to be rolling out next month in their 12 stores. It's a local test. They'll look at us for the first 90 days and then look at maybe going national. Far as I give you some real metrics, next year we're trying to be at least about $250,000 in sales, 250,000. This current year we're doing about 100,000. So we're still relatively small. We built some local traction, but we still have a lot more to do. We want to get with Amazon. Whole Foods and Amazon are now working together, so we have that entry. So great question, though. Yep. Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Definitely. Right. Mm-hmm. I would say put them in opportunities. Well, first off, give them role models or people that can, mentor them and show them the possibilities of what they can be and what entrepreneurship really is. Because, I had some people in my life that showed me that. My godmother, I didn't tell you guys this, she was actually the one that really got me into starting this business. She gave me a book called Millionaire, which I would recommend to any of you guys that are parents. And it tells the story of a guy named Farrah Gray. And he's a 14-year-old African-American boy at that time who made $1 million by creating his own food product. And he grew up in inner city Chicago. He made his first dollar by taking rocks off the street and painting them and calling them paperweights. And, he was a hustler. And so I read that book, and I was like, wow, I see this young black male who looks like me, and he's doing something, and he made it. Maybe I can do it, too. And so that gave me that confidence. I didn't know I wanted to do applesauce. I've worked with music. My best friend was a rapper. I've gone through multiple phases, but applesauce wound up being the one that worked for me in the end. So I would say don't coddle them. Just push them in that right direction. Let them fail on their own, but then be there to support them. So, yeah. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. And then real last point, if you guys want to find our applesauce, I'm sorry I didn't have any with me today. We're at Lucky's Market right in Columbus. We'll be at Dublin and Easton Whole Foods within the next 3 or 4 weeks. So we thank you guys. Appreciate it.